What's going on, Los Angeles? What's up, Ramley? Welcome back to the Rams Skinny here on the LA Football Network, live on the Mightier 1090 ESPN Radio. I'm your co-host, Ryan Dyrud, joined as always by Ryan Skinny T. Anderson, talking all things Rams football. First and foremost, though, hope everyone had a fantastic Thanksgiving. One of the best holidays there is, where you just get to eat and watch football and be merry. You can't say much more about that. So hope everyone had a good one. Ryan, just quickly, happy belated Thanksgiving. How was your Thanksgiving?
Man, if I could do anything on Thanksgiving, I would sit and just watch football. The rest of it, I could just, I could give up. I could give up the turkey and the family time and the giving of thanks and just watch football wall to wall. But, I was invited to a nice Friendsgiving, so I played nice, and I wasn't the football fanatic that I really wanted to be.
Yeah. See, I get it. I'm kind of lucky now. So we go to my wife's family, because my family isn't here in California. So, and we would switch off anyway, but we go to my brother-in-law's house is kind of where we've gone now every year. And none of them are really football fans. So I remember the first year we started going, we used to go to her mom's house, didn't watch football hardly at all. And then we go to his house and I'm like, okay, I'm probably not going to get to watch football just because they're not like a football family. But and I'm not saying this is just Mexican families, but it's definitely prevalent in the Mexican culture. Like, the women handle all the cooking for the most part. So what's nice is when we go over there, then we get there around noon or 1 o'clock. And then it's like, okay, I don't have to do anything else. And then now everyone, me, my brother-in-law, all my three brother-in-laws, we do watch football. So it's actually done the opposite effect that I thought it was going to be. And I just get to kick back and basically watch football, let everything take care of itself in the kitchen. I get to eat. And then when I'm done eating, go right back and watch the night game. So it actually worked out way better than it used to be when I was at home and I had to do stuff around the house for my parents.
Yeah, I definitely got to pitch in. So either dishes after or cooking before. I was put in charge of the wine, which is one of my specialties. So that was an easy one this year around. We've hosted the last couple of years, and we just decided we're gonna find somebody else to serve us this year.
There you go. Good. Well, what we gotta ask this. I feel like it's every year it's asked. Like, what's your favorite Thanksgiving dish, food besides the turkey?
Well, I love it all. It's the combination of all of the things that make it great. I mean, a lot of fantastic sides, but if I had to pick one, it's the green bean casserole with the fried onions on top.
You're a Minnesota man, just like me.
Exactly. That's a green bean hot dish is what they would call it up there, probably. Mm-hmm. Yep. But the green bean casserole is that's the way I go. And I'm not a dessert guy. I skip the dessert pretty much.
Yeah, well, me and you are very similar, obviously, both of Scandinavian descent, so I guess it makes sense. And shared a restaurant in a sense through biological means in terms of our grandparents owning it after the other. So it makes sense, because my favorite side dish is a green bean casserole. That's what me and my wife are in charge of making every year, is our own green bean casserole, which is what I first made when me and my wife started dating. When I first spent Thanksgiving, that's what I brought as the white guy to the family. I brought the green bean casserole and everyone loved it. So now that's what we make every year. I too am not a huge dessert guy, although I do like a nice slice of pumpkin pie cheesecake just to be festive. And I don't love it necessarily, but to be festive, I dive in. The other thing I always share, and I've said this probably before on shows, but the coolest thing, not the coolest, there's many cool things, but one of the newest things when I've spent Thanksgiving with my wife's family is her family. I don't like generalizing, but I think this is a fairly safe general statement, but her family for sure, her mom makes this phenomenal homemade salsa, and they put salsa on everything. Like, it's a phenomenal, great salsa. And so most people, you grow up, gravy is on everything on Thanksgiving. Well, with them, we put salsa on everything. So turkey and Mexican homemade red salsa, fantastic.
That sounds great.
Better than gravy. It's better than gravy.
I'm gonna have to try that. I don't have any homemade salsa, so
I'll bring some for you.
Perfect.
I'll bring some for you.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So, but hope everyone had a great time with family. Got to relax, enjoy. Hopefully, everyone's off on this Black Friday as well and gets the full 4-day weekend. Now Cyber Monday is a thing, so sometimes it's a 5-day weekend. Who knows if you're lucky enough? Not like us, obviously. Football still goes on, so content must be created so you can keep consuming not just turkey on the table, but football in your hearts. from here at the Rams Skinny. Before we get into this Rams game against the Cardinals and also some playoff outlook, do yourself a favor. Have some fun this weekend. If you haven't already, go to underdogfantasy.com or download the Underdog Fantasy app on the Google Play or App Store. With your first deposit, make sure to use our promo code RAMS LAFB. That's all one word, RAMS LAFB. You get a match deposit up to $100. You put $100 in, you get $100 free dollars. So you're playing with $200 right out the get. Pick 2 to 5 players from any sport, and all you're doing is picking the over under that Underdog decides, and you can win up to, they say 20 times your money. I'm going to be honest with you. There's been times I've had the option of winning 100 times my money. If you go for all the multipliers, I mean, I sometimes, I've never won one yet, Skinny, but I'll do all the multipliers, which obviously the multipliers are on like stuff that are much more challenging to have. Like, when it was Kyler Murray fumbling twice or something, like something that's very unlikely. But if I do all those every now and then, I'll just bet $1. I'll do 5 players, all the multipliers, 100x. So $1 to win $100. So if I lose, I'm not losing anything. But hey, if you win once, payday.
Betting strategy. I love it. Well, this is not betting. This is strategic
fantasy. It's daily
fantasy football, daily fantasy, pick'ems, and
daily
whatnot.
fantasy, legal here in California. So Underdog Fantasy, promo code RAMS LAFB, all one word, RAMS LAFB. Tell them the guys at the Rams Skinny sent you. All right, before we get into this game preview, because I think we kind of mentioned we don't got to preview too much. It's the 2-9 Cardinals. I think they're 2-9. They only have 2 wins. I don't know if it's 9 losses or 10 losses or whatever they have, 8 losses. Kyler Murray's back, so that'll be something that we'll talk about. But I wanted to first, we touched on it last episode, Skinny T, and at 4-6, this Rams team, it still feels like, a ways away. They're an inconsistent football team. However, still have everything in front of them. I'm not going to say they control their own destiny wholly. However, they do have a formidable schedule where they play some NFC conference opponents. They have 2 more divisional games, starting obviously this Sunday against the Cardinals and ending the season against the Niners. So there's a real viable shot where this team can go on a run and have some playoff aspirations. So I wanted to just go through and talk playoff picture with 7 games. Is 7 games remaining? Yeah, 7 games remaining. So I'll ask you first off the jump, how likely or how confident are you? You can give me it's Thanksgiving still, weekend, so let's go based on pie. How many slices of the pie out of 8 confidence meter are you the Rams make the playoffs?
I'm going over 4. I'm just gonna tick it into 5. That's okay. Where I am right now.
5/8.
We have no idea what this team is gonna what they're gonna look like from week to week. Some weeks I think this is a playoff team in the NFC in 2023 for sure. And then some weeks I think, oh man, like just cash it in, sell the farm, get the top, as far up in the draft picks as you can. So I can't say that I'm much more confident than a 5. Where are you at?
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like I'm usually the more highly optimistic one. I'm going to go a little below you. I'm going to go 4 out of 8. It's a cop out, right? 50-50.
50-50.
But I would have been I would have been 5, but I dropped to 4 because when we talked playoff picture, Skinny T, a couple weeks ago, at that time we had the Rams winning that Packers game. We said, okay, they win the Packers game. They can win or lose Seattle. We'll call that a toss-up division game. They win the Cardinals, and we went down the line, and it's like, okay, then they finished the season with either 9 or 10 wins. But then they dropped the Packers. That means they're now going to need to win one of these tougher games. So let's go through the schedule real quick. So they got the Cardinals this weekend. Then they get a very good Browns team. No Deshaun Watson, no real offense to speak of, but man, that defense is dynamic. Then they get the Ravens, arguably the best team in the AFC. Can you get the command? Okay, so let's go one by one. Let's just do this. And we haven't even previewed this game score predictions, but Rams Cardinals. You taking the Rams?
I'm taking the Rams.
Okay, me too. So that's 5 and 6 now. Rams Browns. You going Browns or Rams?
Like, just for the sake of the argument to get 5 pieces of the pie, I'm going to say that the Rams take that one.
Okay, so you're at 6 and 6. I'm going to say the Browns, so I'm at 5 and 7. Rams Ravens.
Baltimore's taking that one.
I agree. I think Baltimore takes that one. So then you're going to have to do your own math because I'm going to get confused. Yeah, you're at 6 and 7, right?
That would be 6 and 7. Yep.
And I'm at 5 and 8. And I'm at 5 and 8. Rams Commanders. I think we both go Rams there, right?
Uh-huh.
6-8 for me. You're back to 500.
Yep.
Rams Saints. I'm going Rams here. How about yourself?
Do Rams there.
So I'm at
7.
7-8.
8 and
You're
7.
now over 500.
Mm-hmm.
Rams Giants. I again am going Rams. So then I'm back to 500 at 8-8, and you're two. Well, are you going Rams or Giants?
I'm gonna say Giants just because they're one of these 3 games, the Washington, New Orleans, or New York game, the Giants game. One of those is just going to be, one of those Rams games, and I don't want to get too over my skis and too optimistic here, so I'll keep myself level-headed.
Okay, so then we both have the Rams at 8-8 going into the Niners game, Week 18, and I think both of us. I'm not saying they're going to beat the Niners necessarily, but both of us, I think, believe that if the Rams can get to 9-8, they probably have a good shot at making the playoffs based on how the NFC is shaken out. So, going through all that, Rams definitely have a shot, but they're going to need to win one. They're going to need to either be perfectly clean on that easy stretch and win every game that they're the favorite in, or they're going to need to play spoiler in one of those ones, which is going to be the Browns, the Ravens, and the Niners. And so, whatever it may be, but hey, Ramley, it can happen. It can happen.
Could you just imagine just certain heads exploding because of if the Rams make the playoffs? It's just, you listen to some of the experts talking about. I love Robert Mays and Nate Tice over there at the Athletic podcast, the NFL podcast. They're kind of into this Rams team. They see potential in this Rams team. So, heads would just blow at this point. And, I'm not saying that they're going to get through the first week of the playoffs, but, coming into the season, nobody was optimistic. And I think we were probably among the more optimistic. You were more optimistic than I was, even so. So just having this conversation, just the fact that this is happening, not just for us in LA, but just in the NFL in general, is just fantastic to watch. This is going to be competitive all the way to Week 18 with some of these teams, with everything that's up in the air in the NFC right now. So it's at least going to be exciting. Yeah, I can say that much.
Man, yeah, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves because obviously they got a division game this weekend. But if they do win that Browns game to get back to 500, then I feel real good about this team going forward, because that would be. Then they got 2 real tough games left, and it's any given Sunday. Anyone can beat anyone. We've seen that, especially with this team losing 20-3 to the friggin' Packers. Granted, no Matthew Stafford, but I'd feel real good about that. So, yeah, we got to, this team, as you mentioned, just was left for dead during the offseason. And Sean McVay, for all his faults this year in terms of play calling and offensive strategy and continuity and whatever, he's still coaching his butt off in terms of getting these guys to play. Obviously, Raheem Morris is doing a fantastic job on defense. Guy deserves all the credit in the world for what that defensive unit is doing. I mean, it's literally, you have, and I don't want this to sound disrespectful because of how well these guys are playing, but when you look at this defense, it's literally Aaron Donald, Ernest Jones, and Jordan Fuller, and then a bunch of dudes. Now, a lot of those dudes are stepping up. Akhello Witherspoon having a career year. Derion Kendrick has been very up and down, but his ups have been good. His downs have been very down. Kobie Turner as a rookie has been great. Byron Young as a rookie has been solid. Like, that is coaching, and that is culture, and that is, I think, impressive when you have 1 star, 2 good players, and then a bunch of dudes, and you're a pretty dang good defensive unit.
Yeah, it's just incredible what they've been able to put together for this year. And, I think that fans, even though, from a fan's perspective, this isn't where you want to be necessarily, you should be proud of the organization. And that's what I've always hung my hat on in terms of, you think about ownership and leadership across the league, and you think about all these organizations that have struggled to hire a coach, to, get a quarterback, to put together a string of winning seasons. And guys, the Rams are doing that. And even the fact that they're in this conversation, like, that's something to be proud of with this roster. You think about, I think there's a comparable roster. I always compare it to the Raiders, defensively anyway. And it's like,
yeah,
you got some pieces on your team, even offensively. I mean, obviously they don't have the quarterback set in place yet, but that's a very it's an easy comparison to make because there's pieces that are in place, but that organization is just making the wrong decisions over and over and over again. And hey, guys, we're not the Raiders.
Yeah. And I think what's impressive just about the defense too, they're giving up right now 22 points per game on defense. That is skewed, I think, a good amount because of that Dallas Cowboys game, which was 43. Outside of that game, they haven't given up more than 24 points in any of their other games, and only 24 points once. After that, it's been 20 or less, or 23 or less. And so I think in reality, you get rid of that Dallas game. I'm not a mathematician, but they're probably giving up more closer to 19 points per game or so, or 18 points per game, which would put them in the top 10. And so, again, just when you look at that roster and what they've accomplished, I think it's impressive. And it's unfortunate that a few of these easier games have gotten away, like the Packers game, like the Steelers game, which they probably should have won, because then you could be looking at a above 500 team going into this stretch. But everything's in front of them still. Again, they don't mathematically control their own destiny, but they win the games they're supposed to win and have one upset. They got a real good shot at going dancing. And it starts this weekend against the Cardinals. Already saw him once. What was it? 26-9, I think was the total on that. Just a dominant performance in the second half. A slog in the first half, but they turned it on in the second half. That was the Kyren Williams game when he went off and then got injured. And guess what? Kyren Williams is back this week off IR. Welcome back to Kyren Williams, who has been missed heavily in this offense. Skinny T, your thoughts on Kyren Williams, what he means to this offense, and will we see an explosion of offense because of him being back in the lineup?
I hope so. This is the game that you want to see your offense just really just dominate. There's not a lot of players on the Arizona Cardinals that really you can speak to that are just dominant defenders. So this is the kind of game that the Rams should just if there's a dominant performance that we've seen from the Rams offense so far, the previous game was that, and then this one should be even more so. So I think that you're going to the game. You don't have Cooper Kupp. Matthew Stafford's been bruised and battered, kind of all year long. Several different injuries. I don't know what happened to him against Seattle, but he took a shot and was hurting there for a little bit. But still, this is the kind of game that you go into. You've got advantage from a quarterback perspective, head coach perspective, skill possession players, even with Cooper Kupp if he doesn't play. And I think Kyren Williams is just a central part of that offense. And he went down. The whole running back saga is a thing. Cam Akers was traded just earlier this season, which seems like forever ago. But
yeah.
Then you've got Kyren Williams, and he goes out, and then the backup is playing, and they're signing guys off the couch, and it's just nice to have, a starter at the spot. So, I want to see Kyren a lot. I want to see him in the screen game. I want to see him, throughout the passing game, and I just want to see them out physical the Cardinals, because with James Conner back in and Kyler Murray, there's two offensive weapons that they can make the Rams pay. And so I don't think it's going to be a 9-point kind of showing for the Cardinals offense. So I think they're going to have to score a few more points to give themselves a comfortable lead going into the second half and the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good shout because obviously the Cardinals are getting guys back too. I mean, they didn't have Kyler Murray when they played the first time. No James Conner the first time. So those are two big pieces. Zach Ertz still, I believe he's still on IR. So won't have Zach Ertz, but Marquise Brown and some other skill positions, Rondale Moore. And so this is not a pushover game. And for how bad their record is, I think this Cardinals team, similarly to the Rams, has been a lot more competitive than I think people thought. Again, they haven't won those games. They only have 2 wins, but Jonathan Gannon seems to be building something there in Arizona. And whether Kyler Murray's the quarterback of the future or not, that's another question. And that's for a Cardinals podcast, not for us to answer. But it's a team that is going to test you, and it's certainly a division game, and a franchise that has had no success against Sean McVay and the Rams are going to want to steal one away and going to want to be the ones that say, hey, we put the nail in the coffin on this Rams playoff chances. Because we heard the Rams Skinny podcast, and they were just saying this was a win, and we were looking at the Browns. So they're going to want to play spoiler, absolutely. And so the Rams need to make sure they stay within themselves. But I agree. The key to this is Kyren Williams. And if he can have a Kyren Williams-like game, a monster-like game, not even a monster game, just utilized correctly, whether it's, 5 to 6 catches, I think in the passing game, 15 or so carries in the run game, efficient, sprinkle in, some of the other backs in there as well. And just, have a really good, efficient game plan, especially with no Cooper Kupp, having Puka Nacua involved. Let's see some Tutu Atwell again. Got him going early last week and then just disappeared. So, we're on radio. We're going to take a quick break here. This 21 minutes always go by so fast. We got some good Thanksgiving talk in there. So if you're on radio, thank you for hanging out with us. It's the Rams Skinny. We'll be back for more LA football talk. And we'll be back next week, same time Friday. This is the Rams Skinny on the LA Football Network. We'll wrap up the podcast quickly as well. Holiday podcast here, Skinny, but just I didn't want to end there just out of nowhere. So give me a couple just key matchups. We'll end with that and a score prediction. But what are some key matchups you're looking for in this one? Whether it's mono, whether it's position group, coach v. coach, whatever it may be. A couple key matchups for you.
I'm going to go back to my old, what is it? Whipping horse or something like that. Michael Hoyt, with a mobile quarterback.
Yeah.
He's been better than I thought he would be against some of those mobile quarterbacks. But Kyler Murray, he's back 1 week, put up 51 yards on the ground. That's the kind of thing, especially on those third downs, those all-important third downs, where they've allowed quarterbacks to kind of pick up yards and keep drives alive. That just can't happen. The Rams have got to put this game away, and they got to put it away quickly. And make them pass the ball to their, Greg Dortch, who's, the fantastic tight end, Sprackens the Deutsch. Make them pass it to those guys. Don't allow them to hand off to James Conner. Don't allow Kyler Murray to get outside. So Kyler Murray versus Michael Hoyt is a key matchup that I'm looking at. And I just want to see, a Tyler Higbee matchup. I want to see,
say that.
Sorry to steal your thunder on that one, but it's been a rough few weeks. It's been rough actually since he signed his extension. And I wrote that he was the fourth Beatle of the three pillars. He joins the three pillars of the Rams organization. That he's the Ringo Starr of the Rams offense, and he's just he's embarrassing me. Ringo Starr is just always on the drums, always happy to be there, no ego whatsoever, just making it happen, and he's embarrassing me. So I just want to see a good solid game from Higbee. I know he's been banged up. Both of his hands have been injured apparently, kind of over the last few weeks, which is not those are his tools. Those are the tools of the trade right there, catching passes,
necessary.
Putting hands on defenders. So I'm not sure who he's going to go up against on that defense, but I just want to see a good game from him.
Yeah, I like both of those. I'll flip it back over to the Cardinals side. We mentioned no. Now I'm drawing a blank on his name. The tight end that's on IR that I'm just blanking out of nowhere. Who's their tight end that?
Zach Ertz.
Thank you. I was going to say Zach Evans. That's a Rams running back that is not on IR, but is basically invisible. So no Zach Ertz. However, their former draft pick, Trey McBride, Colorado State product, Greeley, Colorado, Cowtown. I know it well.
Yeah, that's a little town.
Is starting to play really well for this Cardinals team. And he was, I believe, in his draft class, like the number 1 tight end or number 2 tight end just 2 years ago. And so wasn't used as much, especially with like Zach Ertz being there, but started coming to his own. 5 catches, almost 50 yards just last week. So who on the Rams is going to key in on him, whether it's Ernest Jones, whether it's Jordan Fuller, whether it's one of the corners, because obviously this Cardinals team likes to use tight ends to some capacity. I'm not going to say they use them as much as, say, a Niners team, but they certainly use them more than, say, a Rams team. So who is going to be keying in on Trey McBride and making sure his ascension as a young tight end at least stalls this week? against this Rams team. So that's one matchup. And then offensively, I loved your one about Higbee because I would just want to see more from the tight ends in general. Higbee obviously being the starter. But I'll go with Tutu Atwell. I feel that's a layup because we talk about it all the time. But no, Cooper Kupp hasn't officially been ruled out. I think he's questionable, but I would be very hard pressed to see him play. And so we know Puka Nacua will be the main go-to target here. 5 catches again last week. Most of those coming after, Cooper Kupp got injured very early, but most of those coming in the second half. And like I mentioned, Tutu Atwell was involved right out the gate, and I was like, okay, it's gonna be a big Tutu game, and then finished the game with like 17 yards total. So just underutilized as the game went on. So what is McVay gonna do to get Tutu more involved? Is it on Stafford to make the calls or whatever it may be, but want to see Tutu Atwell more involved because he can be a weapon in this offense when utilized correctly. We just haven't seen it enough. And so this is a game to do it against this young, non-experienced defense in Arizona. And so love to see that from him. And obviously getting Kyren Williams back is huge, but take some of the pressure off of Kyren Williams by using some of your other, some of your other weapons that you have on this offense. So those are my key matchups, but let's go ahead and do it. Score prediction for this one. We both think the Rams get the win and move to 5-6. What's your score prediction? We were pretty close on last week's Seattle game.
I don't remember. I picked 1 point, 1 point victory for the Rams, but it was a few more points. Yeah, but was it like 24-23? I think you had. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think I'm pretty sure I had like. I think it was like 20-17 or 20 to, it was something. We were both pretty close, but anyway, sure. What do you got for this one? What do you got for this Rams Cardinals one?
Yeah. So I like the Rams to go over 25 points. So I'm going to say this is going to be a 26-17 game.
26 points.
Yep.
How do you even get to 26?
That's a great question. I like throwing out the weird scores. Like I like doing like an 18, a 22, I just throw them out there just because, things happen in NFL games and really
the holiday season.
These things are strange and arbitrary anyway. These predictions are, like everybody's predicting games out there. Who am I?
Who are you? Skinny T. Yeah, All right, I'm gonna go wild here, and I don't know why. I just feel like this offense is gonna finally figure it out. Getting Kyren Williams back is huge, and I know missing Cooper Kupp hurts, but for whatever reason, this offense almost has been better without him. As weird and blasphemous that feels to say, it's like McVay feels more inclined to be creative without him instead of just honing in on Kupp. And so I'm gonna go. This offense has a nice little explosion of points. And they're going to get to 31. They're going to go over the 30 mark, get to 31 points. Defense is going to have another solid day. The Cardinals offense is obviously, I think, much better than it was the first time around when you have Kyler Murray, you have James Conner. So they're going to get some points, but I'll go 31-15. Rams win, doubling up on the Cardinals.
Love it. I love your optimism. I'm done picking over 30 for the Rams. I was kind of done under picking over 20 for the Rams. So, but this one, I think I'll go over 20 at least. I'll meet you halfway.
When we play the Browns next week, it'll be like a 10-6 score prediction.
I'm really excited to see the over under for that one. I think.
Oh man. Yeah. Unless the Rams score 30, then maybe it'll be interesting and they'll get projected as a higher point total. But anyway, so there you have it. Both of us have the Rams winning, moving to 5-6 on the season, keeping their playoff hopes alive and going down this stretch as we outlined earlier in the show. Hope everyone had a fantastic Thanksgiving day. Enjoy the Thanksgiving weekend and the holiday season. We'll be back next week recapping this game. For Skinny T, I'm Ryan Dyrud. Everyone have a blessed weekend. Enjoy the game. Talk to you all soon.